The fourth petition, by the way, it's right in the middle. It's so interesting how the Lord's Prayer is designed. There's three petitions, this bang one in the middle, supply me, and then there's three more. So right in the middle is the first time my needs. See, I have a problem. I get distracted and, I need focusing, and I want my own way, and I need him to control me, and I don't know where to go. I need him to lead me. But all of a sudden, we get to the supply me part. I need God to supply me. You notice what it says? Give us this day a 401k that'll last for 30 years, right? Or a 403b, or an investment with passive income. No. God says, I want to keep you needing me on a daily basis. So God only dispenses enough for us to make it this day. You see, and that's really hard for us. Do you know what the goal of almost all Americans is? Financial independence. What's the goal of the Lord's Prayer? Daily dependence. Those are really opposites. And that's why it's so hard for us to really get into this. Because we're wired to pile up and, I don't want to get off telling stories, but just having Bonnie sitting there, I always remember one of the things that pastors do, at least in the circles I ran in, they usually had the pastor sitting and his family in the front. It was just part of from our first church on. John MacArthur sat in the front row, and Quidnessa Baptist Church, I had to sit in the front row, and Tulsa Bible Church, I had to sit in the front row. You know what I mean? Calvary Bible Church, I sat in the second row. We always sit in the front. And I remember I was sitting in the front, and they pulled me up, the elders, and they said, hey, we have question and answer time, just like Mike did, minute with Mike, yeah. And they stuck the microphone in front of me, and the elder that was in charge said, someone in the audience said, if someone handed you $100,000 today, what would you do with it? And I thought for a minute, like I did with all Mike's questions, I thought about, what kind of a question is that? And I said, I don't know, because I said, we don't really have any needs right now. I'd have to think about it. That disappointed everybody. They thought maybe I would say I need a house in northern Michigan or something like that. Do you know what happened the very next week? Right where I sit, right over there was a white envelope. What do you think was in it? Guess. $100,000 check. They were serious. They wanted to see what we'd do with it. Do you know, it was really a hard choice, and the elders helped me, and the church took the money, accepted it from me, and dispensed it to me over 7 years, and they let me buy a house with it. It was very nice. And that way, there were no questions. And also, I was under their authority and everything. But let me ask you, do you really want to live on that day-to-day? Well, what does it mean? I need God to supply me because we're so temporary, we're so frail, we're so insufficient, we're so unable to even last very long without resting. We need His supply. Did you know sleep is a reminder every day that we can't keep ourselves alive? Only God is self-sufficient. Only God is self-existent. Only God doesn't need any supply. Everything else in the universe does. Everything else is kept alive by God. For in Him we live and move and have our being. You all know that. God wants me to get back to acknowledging that. And we'll talk about, by the way, we're going to do a whole day or a whole session on all of these.